Carl Coulage for the Sports Hit List by the fans and for the fans, live on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. First and foremost, I'd like to thank Errol for giving us the opportunity to showcase our show weekdays at 4 o'clock. I'm not going to waste any time. Let's start off the show. Let me introduce my panel today. We have the football god, Mr. Kenny Irby. Kenny, how you doing,
everybody.
Bro?
Hey, thanks for having me. It's been a while, but I'm glad to be back.
We have Al, Big Al, my cousin Al. How you doing, cuz?
What's going on, guys? How you doing? Glad to be back.
We have Mr. Met himself, Mr. Chris Pichel. Chris, how you doing, bro?
Just enjoying a beautiful day. Thanks for having me.
All right. So today I wanted to kick off the show by talking about the NFL and Colin Kaepernick. I know there's a lot going on in sports. We're anticipating sports coming back. But shout out to my cousin Al. He said, Carl, no one's really talking about where the NFL stands on politics, the Black Lives Matter movement, and Colin Kaepernick. So I wanted to have the opening segment to talk about, should Colin Kaepernick return? I just read a report that the Lions may be interested, or should he sit out if even approached? Let's start with Al, since this was your idea. Al, what are your thoughts?
My thoughts is I don't think he should come back to the league. It's been 3 years removed. The NFL didn't take him seriously the first time. And honestly speaking, he's doing better. He's doing justice by just staying out and just doing what he needs to do to support the cause that he started in the first place. I honestly believe, with everything going on, it'll be a distraction with the league. It'll be a distraction for him. And honestly, I don't think his skills wasn't all that great in the first place. So I think he might just sit it out and just continue the cause.
Chris, what are your thoughts? Should Colin return, or should he sit out for the cause?
I think he should return because it gives him a bigger platform. I mean, if you have an organization that supports him and the cause and everything that he stands for, and they're okay with the constant media from your Channel 5 News to ESPN showing up virtually every day to hear what he has to say, then I think it just helps everything. And also, since the 3 full years that he hasn't been in the league has changed drastically. Before, think about 3 years ago, players like Lamar Jackson, and now you have the rookies like Tua Tagovailoa, like RPO type of quarterbacks. Now they're coming more in vogue, and his skill set will be more showcased of what the type of quarterback he really is. He was never a drop back quarterback. He was a runner and a thrower. So the type of offenses that he could fit in just grow exponentially because of that.
Kenny, now I know this kind of touches home for you because I remember 4 years when Colin decided to take a knee. You had the jersey. You were very, very vocal about it.
I should have worn my jersey.
I know, but you were very vocal about it 4 years ago. Now looking back, now we're in 2020. What are your thoughts about Cat?
I think he should. First and foremost, he should do what he wants to do. If he wants to play, he should have the opportunity to play. The problem 4 years ago is that they weren't giving him the opportunity to play. They said a lot of things, basically saying that he couldn't play. He washed out or whatever with the league. Like Blaine Gabbert took his spot, or he wasn't the player he was his first couple of years in the league when he took him to the Super Bowl, when he took him to the NFC Championship. But then you also got to look, there's more context to it. The last 3 years of it that he played, he had 3 different coaches. They ran John Harbaugh out the league. Then he had Jim Timasula, who was a 5-11, and he was an interim coach once in 2010, but he wasn't he wasn't your pedigree head coaching material for the NFL. And then you had Chip Kelly, who basically washed out of the league, and that was his last chance with the 49ers. And then on top of that, in 2015, he hurt his shoulder, so he was injured for half the season that he did play, and then he was still recovering when he came back. So, he wasn't the player that he was because he was recovering from injury. Now that he's recovered from injury years later, and he should have the opportunity because of what he did, and we've seen other players spend time outside the league and have an opportunity to come back for whatever reason. I'm not saying he should start because he's been out of the league so many years, but he should have the opportunity to play and try to get his sea legs back because, like what Chris was saying, the league has changed. And then you have the Lamar Jacksons, you have the Tyler from Arizona. You have these kind of RPO players that is basically what he did, what he kind of started in 2013, 2012, 13, and stuff like that. So he should have the opportunity to play just like any other good player with his skill set at the time. And that's the problem.
Now,
And it has been well documented that even quarterbacks who sit out for a little while coming back have an easier transition than other type of players.
Right.
Now, given what's going on, and I have to tie in the NBA of some sort because we see there may be a protest with some NBA players. Would him playing, would that
Took no difference.
Yes.
Can you guys hear me?
You froze for a second,
We got you
Carl.
now.
Yeah.
Okay, we're back. Okay.
Yeah.
Al, did you hear my question?
I didn't hear your question. What was that?
I said, given what's going on with the NBA, and we see a lot of players deciding that they may not play, would it defeat, like if Colin decided that he would play, would that defeat the purpose of his movement by playing, given what's going on right now?
Again, the way the NFL treated him, I think it would because the NBA they've been vocal from the start. You know, they follow Kaepernick's move from the start. So I believe that if it'd be like not a slap in the face, but if you choose to do, if the NBA did choose to do that route and kind of did choose to go that route, I don't think it makes much sense at all.
Kenny, what are your thoughts on that? Given what's going on with the NBA,
I really don't know. Besides kneeling, I don't know what Kaepernick's stance is on anything. Besides, what the initial kneeling was. He doesn't come out and talk about it. He doesn't let himself be vocal. He doesn't get on his, soapbox and tell us his views and things. I think people have been waiting for that for 4 years. I think people are still waiting for that right now, especially since everything he's talked about has come to fruition 100 times so since then, but he hasn't really come and talked about it. So I don't know if maybe he went to the NFL that he'd use that platform to speak on the stuff that he's not doing right now, or if he just didn't do it and he just continued to be kind of silent. Like his silence is deafening in the fact that he doesn't need to say anything because he's proven himself right in everything he said 4 years ago. But I personally, I'd love to hear him speak about what's going on and what he wants to do besides, and I don't want to say besides like it's just a throwaway, but I know he's put out on IG that he wanted, like he set up a fund, a self-defense fund for people in Minnesota, freedom fighters, to help them if they got arrested and stuff like that to get out of jail. But just more thoughts on like basically how everything has come out, and he's been vindicated in a sense. And even Roger Goodell and the NFL officially saying that they apologize for the way they treated him or the way they treated the players. They didn't really specify him, which is also a shortcoming on their fault. But I think there's more. I would like to see him say more, say what he would like to see done.
I'm sorry, Carl.
Yeah, go ahead.
Let me be clear. I'm not saying that he doesn't deserve the opportunity to play. I think that might have came incorrect. Mm-hmm. I don't think like he should play just for the purpose of how the NFL treated him in the first place.
Okay.
And even now they don't even want to give him they don't want to say an apology to him per se, because he's the one that started the movement. He deserves a name Colin Kaepernick apology.
Okay. Chris, what are your thoughts? Again, we're seeing a lot of players in the NBA who are weighing whether they should come back and play. If he decided to play, would that defeat the purpose of his movement that he started?
I don't think so, because I feel like with George Floyd's death, it actually opened up more of white America to what's going on, because for the first time, you have white America really, really backing up the Black Lives Matter movement. And with Goodell, whether he felt like he was publicly pressured into saying that or he actually genuinely meant it, that's a debate for probably another time. But since he said it, and now with the Lions owner coming open and saying that they are going to publicly support it, I just feel like he could kind of vindicate like what has been happening by getting on the field and playing and performing. Whether he's good or not, whether he performs well, I think that's secondary to the fact that he took the high road. Like Kenny was saying, he was quiet. He just let the actions speak louder than his words. And with the rumor that all players are going to be kneeling with him, that they're going to kneel during the national anthem as a sign of brotherhood, I think that's huge. That's all respect to what he started 4 years ago. And also, wouldn't it be great just to slap the president in the face in this regard? I think that would be freaking amazing. So I think all those things tie into it. That I feel like if you were to come back, and even if you would just take a snap and you take an applause, I think that would just help the movement even more.
All right. My final question for you guys is this: with everything going on, COVID, Black Lives Matter movement, we know we have, baseball is on the verge of coming back. The NBA is on the verge of coming back. We know we're not going to get a normal NFL season. And we know fans won't be allowed, but what are your expectations for the NFL season, Kenny?
It's really up in the air because every time you turn around, you see college football players, you see NFL players are testing positive for COVID, and I don't know what that means. Being that we're 2 months out or a month out, I'm not sure what it means. I think they're going to try to go on business as usual. I think it'll have to be federally mandated for the NFL not to play games, because NFL is reactionary. We all know this. They don't look ahead. David Silver. I think his name is David Silver, right? The commissioner, Adam Silver.
Yeah.
Adam Silver.
The way he, the way he came out to the forefront, really set the ball in motion and really take lead. Like the NBA really they're very progressive in the way they think about things, future and how it affects their players. And NFL doesn't look at things and how they affect their players. They look at things and how they affect their bottom line. And they want to get paid. The owners want to get as much money as they can on the books, and they figure it out later. So I think business is going to be business as usual until they can't no more. That'll be it. So if they get players that test positive, they just quarantine those players and next man up. And that would be that. They're not going to do what Adam Silver did and just shut down the whole league.
Chris, what are your expectations? I mean, I know you're having some trouble with Adams over there with the Jets. So what are your expectations for the NFL this season?
I think they're going to face a lot of the major problem Major League Baseball face, and that is money. If there are no fans in the stadiums all across the country, if we're still in that world come September, how are the owners really supposed to be paying their players? Because it's been shown that at least 40% of their revenue comes from the games, from home games. So are the players willing to take a cut? I mean, that's a major thing. People need to start talking about also whether there's going to be a season or not. I mean, think about all that they do and all that they've been fighting for with the concussion protocols and trying to get more guaranteed money. Are the players going to give anything back to the owners when they say, like, well, for the whole month of September, we can't have fans, so we're taking away a quarter of your pay? I mean, if I was a player, I'd be very disturbed by that. So I think that's a major thing. But I do agree with Kenny that NFL is a wonderful way of putting blinders on and just going about as business as usual. So I think in that regard, they're going to try their best just to go in a very physical sport where there's touching and spreading of germs and all that stuff. But I feel like it's going to come back to the almighty dollar of whether we get a normal season or not.
All right. Al, I know you're a Jet fan too. You really have no expectations every year, but what are your expectations for this year?
Expectations, I'm not gonna lie. I did have expectations this year. Like everybody said, it's gonna be business as usual. That's kind of what worries me a little bit. But it comes down to the almighty dollar, like Chris said. At the end of the day, like Adam Silver he was progressive with everything. Every decision he made progressive. I don't feel like the commissioner is that. The commissioner is very reactive. He waits till everything happens, and then he wonders, okay, what's next? Like Kenny said, next man up. So I think it's business as usual. I actually went to go look at the schedule so I could purchase some tickets, but I realized I don't know if I could go. So I'm just like, all right, see what's going on. But I think it's be business as usual.
All right. Gentlemen, thank you for joining me here to open up the show on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Please make sure you tune in. Chris, you're going to hang out with us for a little bit to talk some MLB. Kenny and Al, I'll talk to you guys on the flip side. Thank you for joining me right here today.
Bye.
Thanks for having us. Thank you. See you later. Bye. All
right. So as we transition right now into baseball, I'm going to bring in some of our baseball contributors. Thank you for watching the Sports Hit List by the fans for the fans on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. I'm bringing in Manny and Tom. So as Al transitions out, we have Manny coming in. Al, you could leave us. There he is. All right. And we have our baseball contributors. We have Manny pitch hitting for the baseball contributors. Manny, how you doing, bro? Can you hear me, Manny? Manny, can you hear me?
Hey, what's going on, gentlemen?
I said thank you for pinch hitting on the baseball last minute. Manny's always available on deck. He's always available. Contacted me. He said, Carl, man, whatever you need. He was available right now. So thank you for joining us.
No problem. No problem. Thanks a lot, gentlemen.
We also have TK the Tank, Tom Kenny. You can find him on wrestling. You can find him on football, baseball. He's all over the place. TK, thanks for joining me on this segment.
Thanks for having me, Carl. Great to be here. Great to talk some good sports with you, man. I like the green. It's looking good.
And let me reintroduce Mr. Met, Chris Pichel. Chris is sticking around. He's trying to show us he can only do football. He can also do baseball. Chris, thanks for being here.
Of course, and most importantly, let's go Mets.
All right. So, guys, were you excited when you heard the news last night that baseball is back, or were you kind of like, what was your first reaction, Chris?
That this should have happened like a month and a half ago. I mean, in reality, I don't know if the commissioner, who did a horrible job managing both sides of the fence right now, I know he works for the owners and he's trying to help them out. But if he saw this going down this road, he should have just done like an executive order and just done like a 75, 80 game schedule and just gotten the ball rolling, because we all know what's going to happen in the long run. And after 2021 and the CBA is out, is expired, that there's just going to be a bloodbath when it comes to the players and the owners. So he should have just taken it into his own hands. We should be ending spring training right now, and we should have had a 4th of July weekend start, because what better way of having fireworks than with a Pete Alonso home run?
All right, TK, what was your first reaction last night?
Well, I mean, I agree with Chris. This should have happened a month and a half ago, honestly. The fact that it was so drawn out and it was such a battle between the players and the owners, it's going to come back and strike us later. But for me, it was looking at the updated rules. What really got me was starting on second base in extra innings. I mean, you had a guy like Fred Toney throw a 10-inning no-hitter. What if you have a guy like Jacob deGrom, who notoriously gets no run support from the Mets, take a perfect game into the 10th, give up 2 pop flies, and theoretically able to throw a perfect game and lose by a 1-0 margin? So some of the rules I'm not okay with, but I'm happy to see baseball coming back. But still, a 60-game season, it's enough to arouse the appetite without betting it back down.
Manny, what was your first reaction last night? Manny texted me. He goes, "Carl, are we doing a segment?"
Oh, my God. Dude. I mean, it's been, 6 months practically? Even before the whole COVID thing, I was nervous about it. I was even talking to my father and a couple of fellow people in the Sports Hitlers group about, is baseball going to start on time? I had tickets to the Yankees versus Blue Jays. I was actually getting to see Vladimir Guerrero Jr. play against us. And game was canceled. Obviously, a lot of things happened. Constant back and forth. One thing in baseball is nothing's guaranteed in baseball, as we saw here. So it took a couple months. We're finally here, so I'm excited. What I love about this now, with this season being shortened, is anybody's game. You don't know who's gonna make it to the playoffs. It could be the low bottom teams that nobody expected. They can go on a quick 30 win season or something like that, and they can still make it to the playoffs. It's anybody's game at this point. So you can't. So Vegas, if you go and bet with them, you got to go with different teams. You can't just. I mean, you can stick with your Mets, of course, but I'm a Yankee fan, but I'm a little nervous about this because a shortened season, you never know what's going to occur.
Mm-hmm. Chris, can you tell the fans your fun fact? When was the last time you missed a Mets home opener?
1980. My first one was 1989 when I was 6 years old. So, and
you haven't missed one since?
Not one.
Wow.
And
wow.
I mean, unfortunately, this year, it's out of my hands, but I'm not going to count it.
All right.
Unfortunately, there's going to be an asterisk next to my name.
So that means you'll just tell your daughters that we just skipped over that year, like 2021 didn't happen.
unless they win the World Series, 2020 never happened.
Okay, all right. So we saw some rules, and I was looking at some of the new rules and the changes, and I was talking about this with Chris. No licking, no spitting, no touching, no yelling, and a player has to be on second base to start in extra innings. What are your thoughts about these new rules and these COVID or social distance rules of baseball, Chris?
I get it. I'm not a big fan of it, especially the licking thing. Like, you can only have water on a rag in your back pocket. I mean, come on, who's going to be the first one to have a scentless kind of sticky substance that's going to be on there that's going to help their breaking ball break another couple inches? I mean, there's going to be people that are going to be cheating the system right from the get-go. But also, I mean, the second base, the guy on second base, I mean, we should have turned this into slow pitch softball and also have a one-on-one count, because it's not baseball. I mean, like DK was saying, I mean, you have a sacrifice bunt and a sac fly, and there goes your game. I mean, even if you have the bases, even if you have like Mike Trout starting an inning at the bat, you intentionally walk and then you're first and second and no out. Well, what pitcher deserves that? And also, you have to remember that there's a 3-batter minimum per pitcher. So you can't even have a matchup out there. You just have to pray to God that the person you're out there just kind of figures his way out of the situations. And also, the most disgusting one, and I don't know how you guys feel about this, is the universal DH. That's not baseball. It's not baseball. I mean, players hitting, Bartolo Colon hitting home runs, that's baseball. I mean, it's just the designated hitter has no place. I understand that it creates another job for a human being, and I get that, and I'm all for giving people jobs, but in the traditional way of thinking about baseball, it's just not the right way.
Manny, what are your thoughts on the new rules?
I explained it to you before, but honestly, I don't like the runner on second base. Honestly, I really don't. I mean, I spoke to Greg about it regarding it, and he gave me a good view on it, which actually does benefit and works out in a way. But again, it's like what Tom said earlier. DeGrom pitches 10 straight innings, going to extra innings, gives up 2 pop flies. Now they're down 1-0 or whatever. And then what happens? They lose. And he loses a perfect game or so. So it screws the pitcher, but it also puts a lot of pressure on the pitcher as well. The universal DH I don't like, because I always love to see pitchers hit a home run, even go for the long ball. I mean, I was hyped about Bartolo hitting one out. It's funny. I can't hate on him. I'm a Yankee fan, and I hate the Mets from certain fans, okay? I still go to the games just to watch it.
Listen, be careful, because Chris might ask for your address over there, buddy.
Hey, send it, bro. I'm here. What's going on? But yeah, overall, I'm just excited for baseball. I mean, the new rules, hopefully, it's only for the regular season. I know a lot of people are not going to like these new rules, but we might have to adjust.
The runner on second is only a regular season rule. It does not apply in the postseason.
Oh, thank God.
Okay.
But that's like going back to the way the old football overtime rules used to be. You could have a team win by a field goal. That always felt cheap. And I think any wins coming with a guy starting on second base is going to feel cheap. And like Chris said, a pitcher has to face 3 guys. So you're throwing a guy out there, extra innings, man on second base, and praying he can get through 3 guys. That's not baseball. Baseball is an analytical, it's a thinking man's sport. It takes a lot of thought. It takes matchups. I really like baseball for what it is. You don't have to make it more exciting. If you want a more exciting sport, go watch hockey or basketball. Baseball has exciting moments, and those moments build throughout a game. And that's what baseball is, and you don't mess with that. I don't care what the game times are. I don't care if the networks want the game shorter. Leave baseball alone. It's fine as it is.
I asked this question back in April when we did when baseball would come back segment. And I'm going to be consistent because I love being consistent with this question. Did we forget about the Astros? Given everything that's happened over the last, before COVID hit, before we had protests, the narrative going into the baseball season where the Astros were the villain and people were paid to see, and this was going to save baseball. Now we know baseball is coming back for 60 games. Is that still the narrative? TK?
Well, like Manny said, it's a 60-game season, so anyone can do anything. You've had teams get off to really hot starts. Look at 2019. If this is a 60-game season, Washington Nationals never even make the playoffs. So it's a different kind of season. Are the Astros still the villains? Yeah, but I think now they've been alleviated a little bit of that because people are just excited that baseball is coming back. It's not so much, oh, we really hate the Astros. It's just like, oh, we're at least getting a 60-game season. So are they as much of the villains as they were? No, I don't think so. But I don't think it'll be forgotten once we start playing. Still, I don't think you're going to see pitchers throwing at them as much.
Manny, I know how you feel about this. Are they still the villain, or did you forget? Manny, did you forget?
What happened? Oh no, I got the trash. Where's the trash can at? Where's the you got to bang the trash cans and stuff when the Astros are batting. I'm just they are going to be a villain, but again, like Tom said, they're not really the main focus of baseball. Baseball's back. We get 60 games. We lose 102 games. So there's nothing else that we can bring into it, honestly. I mean, I would love to see the Yankees win, but guess what? Any team can win it. Again, in baseball, nothing is guaranteed. Nothing.
Okay. Chris, what are your thoughts? Are the Astros still going to be a narrative, or is that all well and forgotten?
From whenever COVID started in March until July, when the end of July, when the season starts, people are going to forget about the Astros. In the first game of the regular season, when Jose Altuve is up and they throw Sweet Chin Music his way, everything's going to be unfolded. They're going to be like, oh yeah, this again. Okay, yeah, we hate you. You guys are the worst. You at least take out the recycling. But it's just, yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. Once the blood, sweat, and tears of the season gets going, there'll be a couple pitches here and there, but ultimately, yeah, I mean, up until the first game of the regular season, everyone forgot.
All right. Final question here before I let you guys go is, and I asked this in the NFL, expectation. What do you expect? Are guys going to be rusty? Or are guys going to be ready to play? The dynamic of not having fans, what are we expecting from the 2020 baseball season, Chris?
I think the hitters are going to be at a disservice here because the pitchers, I mean, even if they only go 5 innings, I mean, think about how long do you use your timing to catch like a 95-mile-an-hour fastball or a breaking ball that buckles you? I mean, I feel like this is going to be a year of the pitcher because of that. And I feel like teams that are going to succeed in this because there's 60 games in 66 days are the young teams with good bullpens. Those are the teams that are going to succeed. I wouldn't have no surprise to me if like a team like the Padres all of a sudden made a deep run just because they're young, they fresh legs, and they just built a really nice, quiet team over there. And like, Manny's Yankees, unfortunately, I mean, they're just loaded top to bottom with that star-studded bullpen. I feel like if you have that and you don't abuse your bullpen in the regular season just to make it into the playoffs, you'll be fine. I mean, those teams are going to be the ones that are going to be the force to be reckoned with.
TK, do you have any expectations for the MLB season, or are you just kind of like with the going with the whim?
Well, I mean, I like what Chris said. Teams with good bullpens, young teams, 60 games, 66 days are going to have an advantage. The Nationals were one of the older teams. I keep mentioning them last year, and they were able to do it. But I think this year we'll see a younger team. Also, I think you'll see pitchers go deeper into games because there's 60 games. You're not going to get your regular 30 to 32 starts. You're only going to get maybe 10 or 12 starts. So I think you're going to see starting pitchers. They're going to let them go a little deeper, let them pitch a little longer. And I think it will be the year of the pitcher. And whoever has a fast start will have undoubtedly a advantage for the rest of the season. It'll be a season to remember. It'll be a very interesting season, but I think we do put that big fat asterisk next to the 2020 season.
Manny, the Yankees win the World Series this season will be one to remember, right? That's the goal. What are your expectations for the season?
Majority, if the Yankees win the World Series in 2020, not only is it a big asterisk for the supposed baseball fans and all the Yankee haters, especially in the sports hit list, I will be at that parade regardless. But honestly, I mean, I see it as a dark horse. I see the Mets making it to the playoffs, even the World Series.
Don't say that as a Yankee fan because don't say that because you're gonna jinx them. Don't say that. Yankee fans are not supposed to give compliments to Met fans.
You know why? Because at the end of the day, I love baseball. Baseball's number one to me.
Yeah.
Yankees are right there with me. Yankees are my team regardless, and I'm always gonna expect the Yankees to make it to the World Series every year. Obviously, it's not always gonna be like that. But again, with this shortened season, yes, we have a great bullpen. We have like 8 closers. So 8 of the top, 20 closers, if anything, if that's the case.
But a great fantasy baseball lineup.
Exactly. Just the only issue I have though is going to be the hitters. The hitters are going to have a lot of issues. I mean, look at Aaron Judge. Aaron Judge has been nursing this injury for this oblique strain that he had in his ribs and everything for 3 months? I was at the game last year when he got hurt. So it kind of sucks. But yeah, you got Christian Yelich coming back from a major injury. So we got to see how he does. You have all these other players. It's going to affect the players. And again, I agree with Tom saying that it's going to be a pitcher's season regardless. And I will honestly be interested to see who comes out on top of the Cy Young winner.
Do I have enough time to ask just a question?
Yeah, real quick, because we got like 2 minutes. Go ahead, Chris.
Okay, so why is this champion getting an asterisk? I mean, think about it. In 1981, they had that weird season with the first half and the second half, and the Cincinnati Reds, who had the best record in all of Major League Baseball, didn't even make the playoffs. But nobody puts an asterisk next to the Los Angeles Dodgers. Why would this season get an asterisk? Because I believe it should not. Because if you win it, you'll win it, no matter if it's 60 or 162.
Well, it's a whole different rules. You're changing all the rules. If these rules are to stay, then maybe it doesn't get an asterisk. But if this is the only season where we play with universal DH, where we start with a man on second base in extra innings, and all these other rules, no spitting, you can't touch, empty fans in the stadiums, all these things are different, and next season it goes back to normal, then 2020, not just the champions, but the whole season you put an asterisk on there. The champions are still the champions. They played the same rules everyone else played. I'm not saying put an asterisk on the champions. I'm just saying when you talk about the 2020 season, these things have to be talked about.
Listen,
okay.
I kind of agree with Chris to wrap up, because given the circumstances, you play within your circumstances. It's not your fault that COVID hit. So why would we have to put an asterisk on it? Because it's, again, you're playing within the rules. You're playing with, because of the social distancing rules, you have to change it. So we could engage in more conversation about that as we see the season goes on. Gentlemen, I thank you for joining me on the baseball here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network on the Sports Hit List. Please make sure you tell your friends to watch. We have a half hour left. TK, I'll see you for the pro wrestling segment. I'm about to jump into the NBA. Gentlemen, you guys take care, and I'll talk to you guys soon.
Be well, y'all.
All right.
Thanks, Carl. Bye, guys.
All right. So now, again, thank you for watching the Sports Hit List by the fans and for the fans, live on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. And now let me bring in some of my NBA contributors. TK, I'll see you later.
Yep.
All right. Let's see. Here we go. Who's coming in right now? All right. Who do we have here? TK is still in here. There you go.
See TK.
All right. So now we've transitioned into the NBA. The NBA, the Worldwide Sports Radio Network, live. Carl Coulage for the Sports Hit List by the fans for the fans. We have Coach. The coach is in the building. Coach, how you doing? Say hi to the fans. How's everything going, Coach? I can't hear you. There you go.
There he goes.
How you guys doing?
We hanging in there. We have JJ Louis from the Backstage Brawl. JJ, how you doing, man?
Doing fantastic, man. Can't wait to talk some sports, man. It's been a minute.
And we have Brandon Falco from the Falco Takeaway on Instagram. Brandon, how you doing, sir?
What's going on? Thanks for having me.
So for the Worldwide Sports Radio Network fans, if you don't know, we have our own Woj here on the Sports Hit List. We call him Wom, and we always start with, Wom, what's the word? Please, we want to know. Tell the fans what's the word on the Sports Hit List and the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. What do you have for us?
I feel more like Dr. Fauci every couple minutes checking on these COVID updates and seeing what's going on. I mean, the word is it's too big to fail. It's too big to fail. It's too much effort put into it. They will go on. I mean, we have to get adjusted just like the rest of the world. We're gonna see positive cases. It's inevitable in all sports. Every sport is gonna see positive cases because you're putting groups of people together that have been separated. And so that's what's gonna happen. Now, what people have to watch for is how we progress from these positive cases. Everyone who's reporting now, they're gonna be quarantined. And so they're gonna be quarantined for 14 days. So we just seen a Pacers player just tested positive. I think today it was announced he tested positive. And we also saw Jokic, who tested positive. Those guys are going to be quarantined. After the quarantine, they're going to be allowed to go back with their team and then get ready for training camp and then go into the bubble. If a player tests positive in the bubble, then they're going to be quarantined as well. What you have to watch is their health, how their health progresses after their quarantine. Most top-notch athletes, let's be honest, their bodies are recuperating from these positive tests in no time. We've seen it with the younger generation. So many people have had COVID and been asymptomatic. That's what the NBA is going to have to deal with. They're going to have a lot of players that test positive. How they go about it after is going to be what everyone's going to be watching.
Brandon, I know that brings excitement to you, right? Are you blushing, or is that still a thing, knowing that the NBA is coming back?
Yeah, I mean, if we could see it come back. I still have no idea what's going to come. I still feel like it's 50-50 if the season's going to determine, like, if there's an outbreak of cases, I could just see it shutting down. But, I mean, Wom knows way better than I do. I have no idea, just like everyone else, about what the season is. But I'm praying every day we can watch some hoops.
JJ, are you...
I'm praying to see your barber, man. Your barbershop must have opened early because you got the cut and shave. You looking sharp. I'm still looking crazy over there, man. Shout out to your barber, man.
JJ, are you excited knowing that sports are on the way back, especially the NBA?
Definitely excited, but also have like a little caution there. Wom, he basically pointed out the obvious, a lot of people get tested positive. You have Nikola Jokic, who is the best player on the Nuggets. He's already out. And you could see with like a lot of the other sports, UFC has had cases. WWE, which, Backstage Brawl.
Well, sorry to cut you off. I just got an update that WWE has had multiple performers with tested positive. And they're in the performance center.
That's basically what the risk that you definitely run. But, in the same token, to your point, there's a lot of these athletes that get back to it like 1, 2, 3. Jokic, considering his weight loss, immediately when I saw like the weight loss, everyone was like, oh, we have KP. I was like, he got dangerously skinny very quick. And that's one of the symptoms of COVID. And while he was asymptomatic, that might have been something that, lended towards his weight. But in the same token, he seems like perfectly fine. So for the younger people, it's just how you contain it. And with the NBA and all these other sports wanting to come back, is definitely great.
Brandon, we saw Avery Bradley from I don't know if you're a Laker fan or just LeBron, but I'm going to go to you because you have the LeBron jersey
Team
there.
Bron.
We saw Avery Bradley decide he is not going to play due to his son's illness and also for social justice reasons. What are your thoughts as a LeBron supporter, I'd like to call you, on Avery Bradley deciding not to play?
LeBronian, as a LeBronian.
Thank you, Coach. Thank you, Coach.
He's cool with it. He knows what he is.
Listen. We have to tell the fans of the Worldwide Sports Radio Network our little joke. So we have LeBronian. So if we have any Worldwide Sports Radio Network people who love LeBron, you're officially a LeBronian. But some people are reserved because the rumors are swirling that J.R. Smith might be a possible replacement. Falco, what are your thoughts? And I know how you feel about 2018 with the foul. What's your thoughts on J.R. Smith possibly replacing Avery Bradley in the Lakers lineup?
Yeah, so first thing I want to start with Avery Bradley. In terms of the Lakers role players, he's my favorite role player outside of the two bigs. And he's a rough rider on defense, which I love. When he's on the court, I believe the Lakers are a top defensive team. And when he's off, they dropped 10 spots. So it goes to show how great he is defensively. And offensively, I get his numbers are going to jump off the table. Given he's only averaging 8.5 points a game. He can knock down some shots. He's got that mid-range pull-up. I do like him a lot, and he obviously has playoff experience with the Celtics. So I do like him that way.
Wow. The shade is real. I should just cut your camera off right now. That shade is real, bro.
That one in there.
I'll go on as I was rudely interrupted. That's speaking on Avery Bradley. So the Lakers are already on it, having a disadvantage. Now go to J.R. Smith. There's some pros and the cons. I'll start with the pros. Obviously, he has some playoff experience, which is true. And he's proven that he competes. He's not afraid of the moment, and he's hit big shots in big-time moments. And then the cons, you know where I'm going to get into this. But before that, he hasn't played a basketball game since, I believe, November of 2018. So you're going to tell me he hasn't played for basically 2 seasons, and he's going to come back after a quarantine and be a prohibitive factor on a championship team? I don't think so. And obviously, the Game 1 2018 blunder at the end of the game, I don't forgive him that. No one ever should. But I'm not for that. That J.R. Smith should join the Lakers. I believe it's just next man up. Other guys are gonna have to play more minutes. Like Danny Green's gonna have to step up. Kyle Kuzma especially really needs to step up. He was supposed to be the third option this year. He's been far from that. He's averaging, I think, 12 points a game. He hasn't fit in well since Anthony Davis joined the Lakers. But I think just other guys need to step up in loss of having Avery Bradley not playing.
Coach, have we forgiven? Has the basketball family forgiven J.R. Smith for his Game 1 mistake, or are we still holding it like a Falco over here?
I'll answer. Hell no.
Listen, man, if you were a LeBron fan and LeBronian, I get it. It's like if Moses would have dropped the 10 Commandments before he delivered it to the Israelites. You know, you guys were that upset at J.R. Smith.
Use that comparison.
But to us regular fans, it's like I forgave Chris Webber when he called the timeout for Michigan. I wasn't a Michigan fan. Like, you know, in sports, you know, it's tough when you're going for like a player of LeBron's stature. Like if that Scottie Pippen would have did that to Jordan, or you know, Steve Kerr would have did that to Michael Jordan. A lot of Jordan fans would have never forgave Steve Kerr for that situation. So I get it. While you know, LeBronians are on J.R. Smith, but me, I just, you know, there's so many things that happen in the game. I know they're professionals, but everyone has a lapse in judgment. You know, you've even seen LeBron sometimes catch the ball in one of those videos where he took like a couple steps before he dribbled. You have lapses in judgment. And at that moment, you know, JR had a lapse in his judgment. I mean, he's had a lot of lapses in his career, but one thing I do disagree with Falco on is it is next man up. But if you can bring somebody like J.R. Smith to your camp, you can have him go through training camp and see what he can do, and you can bring him to Orlando and test him out in some of these scrimmage games. It doesn't hurt your franchise. Because put it like this. Think about this. What if Kyle Kuzma tests positive in the first round of the playoffs and he has to quarantine for 14 days? What if Danny Green tests positive in the second round and he has to quarantine for 14 days? This is chess now. This is not checkers. You got to stack your deck with as many players as you can get because you never know when one of these guys are going to have to be quarantined. So bring all the veterans. Whoever got playoff experience, if you know, I think Kendrick Perkins talked about he might want to come back You get a little 10-day action. You got to stack your deck because you don't know what's gonna happen down there.
That's a good point.
JJ, what are your quick thoughts on JR replacing Avery Bradley? I know JR was on your Knicks for a few years.
That's
won
right.
Sixth Man of the Year that year. So what are your thoughts on JR?
I echo the same sentiments as Coach Wolf. You know, like a lot of LeBronians are gonna hold it against him about 2018, but you know what people don't realize is that 2 years before that, the first half of 2016 Game 7, him hitting all those threes. So you kind of you basically take the good and just wash it all away with that one lasting figure. So taking 2018 and all the boneheaded situations away, what you get bare minimum is a guy who's a heat check artist, a guy who could catch and shoot a lot of threes, assisted by LeBron James. He has the chemistry there. And also, you know, also to Coach Wong's point, there's something about a hungry player a year removed from basketball, 6 months removed from basketball. Joakim Noah 2 years ago had a resurgence in Memphis because of that after leaving New York. You've seen plenty of other situations. Dennis Rodman, back when he was in the San Antonio Spurs, his career was basically on the outs. He was dating Madonna. He was out and about. And now, yeah, I mean, and fast forward.
Listen, hold on. My career would have been done too if I'm dating Madonna, bro.
Exactly. No,
at that time, I might have been like, listen, I already got my ring, bro.
In her prime too.
Madonna's prime Madonna.
And then he goes to the Bulls, and then you see 3 extra years out of Dennis Rodman, and you play his career 9 times out of 10. If he doesn't go to the Bulls, who knows what his career is going to end up? He may retire on the spot because the year after the Last Dance ended, he retired. So you look at a guy like J.R. Smith, latch him onto a guy, the greatness, the level of LeBron. You have Anthony Davis over there. You have a crop of talent. Danny Green is basically a sharpshooter. So you have like loaded snipers ready and waiting for a team like the Clippers, who are loaded in their own right. A team like the Rockets, who have competed well against LA. And also you have all these other Western Conference teams that have a puncher's chance at coming at the Lakers, COVID, permitting. So this is definitely a win-win if they were to go after J.R. Smith. I would know the Knick fan in me would kind of lean towards Jamal Crawford because that was my favorite, one of my favorite eras of New York, even though it was a good, bad era. But still, that being said, to have a heat check artist like JR, definitely a plus in my book.
Don't forget one last thing. Don't forget that the Lakers signed Dion Waiters right before COVID hit.
Yeah,
listen, those two guys. Where you're really gonna miss Avery Bradley on his own defense. I wouldn't want to go against Devin Booker. I mean, I don't think the Phoenix have a chance, but that guy can heat check. You get what I'm saying? Avery Bradley was the guy that would have guarded a Devin Booker in that first round of the playoffs. So Jamal Crawford defensive numbers are a little bit worse than like a J.R. Smith. So that's why, I would go with a J.R. Smith because he's defensively a little bit better than Crawford, where you're going to need someone who can lock down just a little bit more. But I love Crawford. I love Crawford.
Gentlemen, we have about 3 minutes left. So I want to end with this. I asked this to the NFL and the MLB teams. I'm going to ask you guys this question. What are our expectations going into the season with the shortened season, given the circumstances? The one thing I will say for me that I don't like, and this is me being biased, I don't like these guys being in the same hotel rooms. I know that they have to be, but I'm nervous about my young stars getting coursed into going to different teams when their contracts are up. So I'm a little bit nervous about guys staying in the same hotel, hanging out after. That's my main concern. But you don't care. What are you?
Because the Knicks are in the tent. We in the we're staying in the campgrounds. That's the resort they put us in.
So what are our expectations for the NBA coming back? One, what are your expectations?
I really don't have high expectations for the play. I think it's going to take some time for those guys to get adjusted and get back into the flow of things. The biggest thing that I'm battling, like I think everybody else is battling, is I really don't want to go into this thinking there's going to be an asterisk on the season, regardless who wins. I just really want to focus on watching these guys play and compete. Let the asterisk come after. Let that be a topic of conversation. But as the games are being played, just respect the athletes who are out there. And let's see what guys are going to give. It's going to give a lot of hope and give a lot of, entertainment to people who have been waiting to see it. And hopefully they can use their voices also for the social causes that they said they're going to keep championing. So I'm watching out for that as well.
All right. Falco, real quick, any expectations for the season?
I'm just so excited to watch basketball again. I'm hoping that we do have a season. Everything works out as planned. And in terms of the asterisks, there's no asterisks on a season when everyone is dealing with the same thing. An asterisk should only go on a team that has a competitive advantage over another. Nobody has a competitive advantage dealing that we've all went through this 5-month quarantine. So I don't want that narrative.
Yeah, unless we get into the finals and like one of the star players gets COVID and has to be out for 14 games, and now
Changes
they're
the
quarantined, then it's gonna be a different narrative. So
Look at him. Look at Falco. Falco has nothing to say. JJ, last quick thoughts. What are your expectations, real quick, because we got to run into our next segment.
Yeah, touching off that, honestly, the cream rises to the top. They're coming into the basketball season. There is no asterisk because for the people who are competing, you see LeBron, you see Ben Simmons, JJ Redick said it on his podcast. If you hooping and you're a hooper, you're gonna find a way to basically train and get ready for the season. And despite certain circumstances, you've seen Russell Westbrook workouts, you've seen Jason Tatum, you see Trae Young, and et cetera, et cetera. So they've been training, they've been working hard, and I'm anticipating while they're getting back into the swing of things, I'm expecting the best basketball that we could get amidst these circumstances.
Go James, hoist his fourth, baby. Let's get
All right, gentlemen, thank you for joining me here live on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Please make sure you guys tune in, and we'll definitely be talking during the week so we can come back and see what we'll be talking about next week. Make sure you like, share, comment, subscribe to the Sports Hit List, and I'll see you guys next week. Take care. All right, so let me transition now. It's Wrestling Wednesday. Coach, you want to stick around for Wrestling Wednesday?
I knew you were cutting us for wrestling.
You want to stick around for Wrestling Wednesday?
I'm like, you're cutting all minutes to talk about Undertaker's retirement.
Yes, of course. Come
on, I'll keep up. Just because
my man. I'll see you next week, Coach.
All right, man. Y'all be good.
You guys take care. All right, let me bring in Kenya. We have Mike and Tom. And Falco, you can exit.
All right.
JJ, you want to kind of stick around for wrestling real quick?
Yeah, why not, man?
All right, sure.
Why not?
Okay. All right. We are here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Carl Coulans for the Sports Hit List, by the fans and for the fans. We are moving into our final segment. It's Wrestling Wednesday. Wrestling Wednesday. You know we have to end the show with Wrestling Wednesday. Please make sure you go onto our page and you check out Zach Droll. He just cut an unbelievable promo coming at me. We also release quick picks. Make sure you check all that stuff out. Let me introduce my panel. JJ stuck around. JJ from the Backstage Brawl. How you doing, bro? We have TK the Tank Tom Kenny. He's back. He took a break. He's back. How you doing, TK? We have Mike. Mike, how you doing, bro? Mike, I can't hear you, man. No, I can't hear you. You're going to have to fix your mic. Kenya, can you hear me?
I hear you.
All right, here Kenya, the producer of the Sports Hit List. Kenya, how you doing?
Can you hear me?
For the first time ever, Kenya's on a segment. We got to give her a round.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, Mike. You're good. Kenya's on. I'm so proud of her. She never wants to come on, but for some reason today she decides, you know what? I'm going to go on live. So we got to give her a round of applause. So I'm not going to waste time. There's so much we can talk about. Coach Womack kind of said it. The Undertaker retired. You know, we have a lot going on, but the biggest story right now is, you know, sexual allegations against pro wrestlers. It's breaking the news all over from different promotions, from AEW, WWE. What are our first initial thoughts? Kenya, you're the lady of the room. Ladies go first. So we got to start with you.
All right. So honestly, I think, and as someone who is a victim, a survivor, and all of that, and I will say without an issue, because I know this is something that it is a big movement and it is something that's very well meant for people to talk about. And if you can't, that's okay. And the fact that there's a whole list of people that have been called out, I feel like if you are in such a big company and you feel that your way to get to the top was to do this because you could step all over whoever you want, then you don't belong there.
TK, what are your thoughts?
So these individuals, wrestlers, they have a platform, they have power, they have sway over other people using their celebrity. If you use that power to assault and victimize other people with things such as sexual assault, you should not be able to be in this industry. I think that more than 90% of the men on the list, men or women, whoever, if they commit an act like that, they should be done. They should be done. Joey Ryan's done. Jack Gallagher's done. I want to see more. I want to see Velveteen Dream gone. I want to see Matt Riddle gone. I want to see people that are are accused like that, I want to see them out, because you have to make a harsh line in the sand that this will not stand, that, we will believe victims, and we will listen if you speak out, and there should be repercussions for this. If Matt Riddle is on SmackDown Friday night, there will be a problem with me and WWE. He should not be on SmackDown. I think you really have to draw a harsh line in the sand and show future predators that we will not stand for this. So I have no remorse for any of them. Out with all of them. That's it. No more. Done.
Mike, what are your thoughts?
It's interesting because a lot of the wrestlers that have been called out, they're not at the top. Like, they're not, world champions or anything. No, these are guys that have been around the business for a long time. And these are guys that, for the most part, they, like Tom said, they take advantage of their celebrity status in order to get sexual advances or whatnot. With that being said, there are certain individuals within the wrestling community that I just find so hard to believe. It's bizarre because there's stories out there that, yeah, it is true. There's stories out there that, no, it's not true. But a guy like Matt Riddle, for instance, that came out of left field. I don't know. It's a bizarre time to be a wrestling fan. It was a bizarre time for the Speak Out movement to start because it just started like 5 days ago. So, I mean, at this point, I suggest that maybe there should be more into a look into it, maybe a little bit of investigation into it, because so many wrestlers, I don't remember the last time these many wrestlers have been called out. The only thing I could think of was the celebrity movement, the Me Too movement for all celebrities out there. That's the equivalent of what's happening in wrestling right now. So, I mean, let's see what happens.
Okay, so JJ, real quick, what are your thoughts about all these allegations that are coming out against pro wrestlers?
To touch on my fellow panelist's point, the initial is just, it's devastating because you've seen all these names come out, and like for people to basically take advantage of their liberties, especially in these independent promotions, most of them being overseas, is tough because a lot of people want to break into the business and they want to basically make an impact immediately. And just to hear guys like, the Jim Cornette story, which was crazy in and of itself, you have like the Jack Gallaghers of the world, et cetera, et cetera. It's tough. I have so much, angst only because, at a certain point you reach a line similar to the Me Too movement. And that's a great point to bring that up, because there's always that certain line where it's like, everyone is coming out and there's a great portion that like is factual, there's evidence and all that stuff. And then there's like that percentage where it just starts to like tick the line. Paige's family, for example, they got, called for it. And her mom went on Twitter, denied the allegations, logged off of Twitter, not off of quote unquote being forced off, but being, upset at the thought of being, having such allegations. Not to say that she's innocent, not to say that she's guilty, but it gets to a certain point where it's like, all right, if one person says it, after a while, you're just like, okay, I know a portion is not saying and coming out, but there's also a portion where you're just like, there's an area of gray there. And that's where I'm at right now.
I'm on the same boat as JJ, to be honest. Like I said, more investigation needs to be done.
1 second, guys. I'm just getting this report from Nick. Shout out to Nick Maldonado, one of our contributors. He sent us article about Brock Lesnar. And it says, and this is from Terry Runnels, who was, Terry Runnels said, I don't have respect for Brock. I don't have respect for Brock. I don't think he respects wrestling fans. Brock did something that was in today's day and time. He showed his penis to me and called my name as I walked past him where he was in the dressing room. He opened his towel so I can see his manly bits. At the point he knew he was going to have a lot of power, they were going to give him the strap. But at that point, I had been in the business for a long time. I deserved respect, and what he did was very, very, very wrong from a professional standpoint. From a sexual harassment standpoint, however you want to look at it, it was wrong. So to counter what Mike said, you said there were a lot of lower level names that are being accused. Here we have the former reigning, defending, undisputed champion, one of the top guys in Brock Lesnar. That happened when Terry Runnels, I believe, who hasn't been in WWE for probably almost a decade now. How does Vince handle that?
Vince handles it the same way he handles other things. Vince has to break ties with Brock Lesnar. Vince has to end this. Like, if you look at that, if that's happened, and that definitely did happen, because back in the 80s and 90s, wrestlers would refer to women mostly as ring rats, and there was no respect for women. It was much, much worse, and we've been making strides to make it better. But look, as soon as Brock thought he had the power, he thought he could do what he wanted. And you have to draw a line in the sand, like I said, and say, no, this is not allowed. You will lose everything because of this. And you can look, and Mike said, he doesn't think, oh, there's a gray area. It's weird how some of these things are happening. You look in the 1960s, people would have said the same thing about priests, and you've learned so much about that. You look a little bit later with people in schools, that man who was the physician for the gymnast a couple of years ago. That
Hold
came
on,
out. People
time
never
out.
would have
Someone
thought that
needs-
man would have done anything.
hold on,
But
someone
he
needs
did.
to
There
get-
needs to be a line in the sand.
TK,
There has
one
to be
second.
no remorse.
Hold on, I'm sorry, TK. Someone's phone is ringing in the back. That was distracting your passion. I love it. TK is
No,
very
I
passionate. Are
understand,
you okay?
Carl, I understand. That's what they're going to do. They're going to try to make phones ring to distract from the issues here. And I'm not
Listen,
getting off
TK,
topic.
you want some
y'all.
water from? Listen, I got a water bottle from the Suffolk Radio from Coach Bill. You want it? Come get some water, man. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. I got your back, TK.
No, you have to
I
give him the
I
good-
feel
all
you.
right,
I feel you, TK. I got you. But go ahead, TK.
No, I mean, that's what I said. I mean, you look at all these things in the past, people would try to defend them. I mean, it's hard to look at your idols and realize that they are flawed. But if they have these flaws, they can go work somewhere else. They should not be given this power, because they will repeat and they will go back and act upon this power. You can look at priests in the Catholic Church. They've tried to, I'm forgetting the word, but they try to, discipline them or move them or rehabilitate. That's the word I was looking for them. And they always fall back because they have that power over other individuals. These individuals should not be given that power.
But I have
There's
a
plenty
question,
other jobs in the world that can go do.
We
me
got
bring
4
this
minutes, guys. We
Doesn't
got 4
matter how
minutes
good
left.
you can kick or flip. I don't care. You shouldn't be in this business.
No,
We
I
got
know.
4 minutes. We got to make it quick. Mike, what's your question? Go ahead.
I got a question, but he is Vince's top guy. What are we gonna do? What is Vince?
What are we going
What
to
do
do?
you mean, what are we gonna do?
What
do you
mean?
He's done. Get a
What do you
different
mean?
guy. You don't
Did
need
you
to
really
win
just
that
ask that
professional
question?
wrestling.
Vince McMahon.
Are you
He
kidding
went
me?
on-
Wait,
he-
time out.
Wait,
Time out. Time
Can I say it? Can I say it?
Yeah,
Please
The
go
say it
man
ahead.
louder.
died, and he
Say
went
it
on
louder.
with the pay-per-view.
No, because if you are anybody who says that it is any type of okay, let me just keep them here.
I'm
Because
not saying it's okay.
they're the face of my company. You are in no way any type of good person. You are literally an enabler. You are the one who is actually enabling these people to go ahead and keep doing what they want to do because they think that it is okay to get away with. People like you are the reason that people keep going ahead and doing it.
Okay.
People like you are the reason
Wait,
that
stop. Hold on a second. That's not what I'm trying to say. Listen
Okay,
to this.
okay.
Vince,
Okay,
what I'm trying to
okay,
say.
okay.
Listen, and this is where you have to watch WWE more. This is where you have to watch WWE.
Wait, it doesn't matter. It
Because look,
doesn't matter.
no, I
Okay,
know it
okay.
doesn't matter.
One second. We got 3 minutes left.
Okay,
Real quick
but-
question to JJ. I'm gonna get to JJ. Say Brock Lesnar comes out and says it's not true. She's lying. What do you do if you're Vince?
What you do if you're Vince, you investigate. And if it comes out, you do exactly what TK the Tank said. You got to decide. Because I bring up, for example, Matt Riddle. Matt Riddle, he
Someone's
brought up his
Giving us that.
scandal.
Okay, we're good.
Yeah. He brought up his scandal, and while it's still up in the air, and he's still on, he just debuted on SmackDown. There's a lot of stuff up in the air. Didn't he? He could seem like the type of person to do it. Could seem like the type of person to not do it. Regardless, it's still up in the air. So you have to kind of just go inside and investigate, because at the end of the day, to everyone's point, 80s it was happening, 90s it was happening. I'm surprised more names haven't came out.
Right.
The old younger Randy.
Can I just say
Ortons
this
of the
because
world.
I don't want to get anybody mad.
Real quick, Mike, because we got 2 minutes left. Go
Right,
ahead.
right. I don't want to get anybody mad. And Kenya, I don't want to get you mad. But I'm just talking about Vince McMahon. He went on with the pay-per-view when a man died. A lot of his guys were doing steroids, and he kept going.
Because he doesn't care about anything other than his money.
No, I'm not saying that he's not guilty or not. This is Vince McMahon. I'm telling you, he's not going to do anything because that's the way Vince is.
Right, and you know what? As crazy as Mike sounds, Mike does bring up a point about Vince, and we've seen Vince let people get away with a lot.
Yeah.
I remember there was a point. I don't know if Randy got suspended because there was a
Randy
rumor
got
where he was peeing in girls' bags or something like that.
Yes.
He was doing that in the locker
It's
room.
gone even farther. I mean, look at the
yeah.
entirety of Dark Side of the Ring. You have the Owen Hart incident. You have Jimmy Snuka's death.
Exactly.
You can go down the line of things that
And you
have
let it
gone
go.
on.
That's unbelievable.
Okay,
So-
guys, listen, I would love to continue having the conversation. Maybe next week we'll have a part 2. Thank you for joining me here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. The Sports Hill is by the fans, for the fans. Kenya, get some water to drink. TK,
Yeah.
get some water to drink. I love you guys. Mike, you too. JJ, let's calm it down. I know it's
Yeah,
hot.
man.
Everyone's getting heated, but I love the energy.
Kumbaya.
Please make sure you tune in to us next week. We will be live again. We'll have a series of topics: NFL, NBA, maybe some NHL, MLB, NBA, pro wrestling. Make sure you check us out. Like, share, comment, subscribe. Everyone, any final thoughts? Real quick. We got 20 seconds. Go. Final thoughts.
Ladies first.
Ladies first. Kenya?
I'm a little too mad.
Okay. TK?
Yeah, no, I'm going to say it again. Line in the sand. Get rid of them all. After that, maybe look at it. But right now, Vince McMahon, take a line in the stand, change the way you are, and get rid of these guys.
All right. That'll do it for the Sports List again. Please make sure you like, share, comment, subscribe. Have a good night.
Okay.
All right. I believe